Before you read this article, Appreciating the Moment, I want to pause and acknowledge someone who has been a steady blessing in my life and ministry. I dedicate this piece to my dear friend, fellow pulpit preacher, and brother in Christ, Tim Lassiter. He currently lives in Hawkinsville and teaches in Cochran, Georgia. A man whose walk with God is marked by humility, wisdom, and a genuine love for people. Tim has a way of reminding those around him that every moment carries purpose and every breath is an opportunity to honor God. His encouragement, his example, and his unwavering commitment to the gospel have strengthened me more times than he knows. It is only fitting that an article about valuing the present moment be dedicated to someone who consistently lives that truth. May this article bless you, and may it also stand as a small tribute to a brother whose life continues to inspire many people, including me. Appreciating the moment. Time is a swift transition. Yesterday has slipped beyond our reach. Tomorrow is never guaranteed. And what each of us truly possesses is the fragile, powerful gift of now. When I was a young man, I believed life stretched out like a long, winding road with endless turns and countless chances. But now, standing in the twilight of my years, that long road appears more like a brief, breathtaking journey, one that passes far quicker than youth can ever imagine. In youth, time feels abundant. We rush through days as though they are disposable, convinced that more will always come. We postpone joy, delay gratitude, and assume that the people we love will always be within arm's reach. But time has a way of teaching us that moments are not renewable resources. They are treasures. Once spent, they cannot be reclaimed. As I look back, I realize how many moments I hurried through without noticing their beauty. The laughter of friends, the warmth of a summer evening, the quiet comfort of family. These were not interruptions to life, they were life. Yet in my younger years, I often treated them as background noise while chasing something I thought was more important. Growing older has a way of sharpening your vision. You begin to see the extraordinary hiding inside the ordinary. A sunrise becomes more than a routine event. It becomes a reminder that you have been granted one more day. A simple conversation becomes a blessing. A shared meal becomes a cherished memory. The things we overlooked become the very things we now cherish. Appreciating the moment does not require wealth, fame, or perfect circumstances. It requires awareness. It requires the willingness to pause long enough to feel the weight of the present. Life is not measured by the number of breaths we take, but by the number of moments that take hold of us. Moments that remind us we are alive, connected, and part of something greater than ourselves. There is quiet wisdom that comes with age. You begin to understand that the speed of life is not something to fight, but something to honor. Time will move whether we acknowledge it or not. But when we choose to be present, we slow the rush. We stretch the moment. We allow ourselves to experience life rather than simply pass through it. I often think about the young man I once was, full of ambition, energy, and impatience. I wish I could tell him to slow down, to savor the journey, to understand that life is not a race, but a series of sacred pauses. But youth rarely listen to age, and perhaps that is the way of things. Still, I hope that someone reading this will hear what I could not. Appreciating the moment also means accepting that life is not always easy. There are seasons of struggle, loss, and uncertainty. But even in those seasons, there are moments of grace, small reminders that we are not alone. A kind word, a gentle smile, a quiet prayer, or a simple breath can anchor us when the world feels heavy. As the years pass, I have learned that gratitude is the doorway to joy. When you appreciate what you have, you stop longing for what you lack. When you honor the moment you are in, you stop chasing moments that may never come. Gratitude transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. Life's brevity is not something to fear, but something to respect. Knowing that time is limited gives meaning to the time we have. It encourages us to love more freely, forgive more quickly, and speak kindly. It reminds us to hold our loved ones close and let go of what weighs us down. The twilight of life is not a place of sadness for me. It is a place of clarity. I see now that every stage of life has its own beauty, its own lessons, its own gifts. Youth teach us possibilities. Adulthood teaches us responsibility. Age teaches us appreciation. And appreciation is the crown jewel of wisdom. So, I encourage you, whether you are young, old, or somewhere in between, to pause. Look around. Feel the moment you are in. Let it speak to you. Let it remind you that life is happening right now, not yesterday, not tomorrow, but in this breath, this heartbeat, this step. Time is a swift transition, but within that swift transition lies a lifetime of moments waiting to be noticed. Cherish them, celebrate them, live them fully, for in the end, it is not the length of the journey that matters, but the depth with which we walked it. As I reflect further, I realize that appreciating the moment is not just a mindset, but a discipline. It requires intentionality. It requires the courage to slow down in a world that constantly pushes us to speed up. We live in a culture that celebrates busyness as though it were a badge of honor. But busyness often blinds us to beauty. When we rush, we miss the subtle details that give life its richness. There is something sacred about pausing long enough to notice the small things. The way sunlight filters through a window, the sound of children laughing in the distance, the smell of rain on warm pavement. These are not grand events, yet they carry quiet power. They remind us that life is found not only in milestones, but also in the gentle, everyday moments that surround them. I have learned that the present moment is a teacher. It teaches patience when we want to hurry. It teaches gratitude when we want to complain. It teaches humility when we want to control outcomes. And it teaches trust that even when we do not know what tomorrow holds, we can still find meaning in today. One of the greatest gifts of appreciating the moment is the way it deepens our relationships. When we are fully present with someone, truly listening, truly seeing them, we give them a rare and precious gift. Presence communicates love in a way words cannot. It says, "You matter. This moment with you matters." And those moments, when gathered over a lifetime, become the foundation of our most cherished memories. I often think about the people who shaped my life: family, friends, mentors, and even strangers whose kindness left a mark. Many of them are no longer here, but the moments we shared remain alive in my heart. I did not realize at the time how valuable those moments were. Now I understand that every conversation, every shared laugh, every quiet moment of companionship was a thread in the tapestry of my life. Appreciating the moment also means embracing change. Life is constantly shifting. Children grow up. Seasons turn. Opportunities come and go. When we cling too tightly to what was, we miss the beauty of what is becoming. Change can be uncomfortable, but it is also the birthplace of growth. When we learn to appreciate each moment, we learn to welcome change with open hands rather than resist it with closed fists. There is freedom that comes with living in the present. We stop carrying the weight of yesterday's regrets. We will stop worrying about tomorrow's uncertainties. We stop measuring our worth by what we have accomplished or failed to accomplish. Instead, we begin to see ourselves as part of a larger story, one that unfolds moment by moment. In the twilight of life, I have discovered that joy is not found in the extraordinary, but in the ordinary made meaningful. A quiet morning, a warm cup of coffee, a familiar song, a peaceful walk. a heartfelt conversation. These are the moments that give life its sweetness. These are the moments that remind us that even in a world filled with challenges, there is still beauty to be found. If I could offer one piece of advice to anyone reading this, it would be this: do not wait for a perfect moment to appreciate your life. Appreciate it now in its imperfect, unfinished, unpredictable state. Appreciate the people who stand with you. Appreciate the opportunities you have. Appreciate the lessons you are learning. Appreciate the breath in your lungs and the strength in your steps. Life is not a rehearsal. We do not get to rewind or redo. We only get to live it once, and the only part we truly hold is the moment we are in. So, live it with intention, live it with gratitude, live it with awareness, and live it with the understanding that every moment, no matter how small, is a gift. As I continue walking this short but meaningful journey, I find myself more grateful than ever. Grateful for the years behind me, for the lessons learned, for the people loved, and for the moments that shaped me. But most of all, I am grateful for today, for this moment, this breath, this chance to appreciate the life I have been given. And I hope that as you read these words, you too will pause, even if only for a few seconds, to appreciate your own moment. Because this moment, right now, is the only one that truly belongs to you, and it is worth cherishing. Willie L. Smith.